g'day, and welcome to Drive Time back from England and in sunny Las Vegas, and ready to talk business and wealth today. And after my travel through the UK this last week, there's one thing that is blatantly obvious. It's the mistake I see made most often in business, and I want to teach it to you. I want to teach you how to get past it. You know, when you sit down with business people for a week and you travel and you meet them and you chat with another one and then you chat with another one and you speak to a whole bunch of them, you start to see some trending patterns. And I'm not sure if it was COVID that led to this or if it's just the way it's always been, but my reality check that came in from most of these business owners, and even a partner, a business that I've just invested in, and the partner in that business. Let me tell you the big mistake and then tell you the 5 ways that we can get through that thing and how we solve it, okay? So, thanks for typing in where you're at, Sam. Good to have you on the drive. Kyriakos, good to see you, buddy. So everybody that's new to Drive Time or anyone that's been around forever, type in the city you're in. I need to know where we're driving to today. So, what's the biggest mistake made in business and in wealth? I'll give it to you in one simple sentence, and then I'll explain how to solve it and how to get around it. In fact, first I'll go into why it's the biggest mistake. Biggest mistake, real simple. People do not think big enough. People don't think big enough. They're just not big enough thinkers. They look at their business and they want to make an income from it, and that's about it. They don't think big enough. They don't look to how to do $100 million or $1 billion in their business. All they plan for is to do maybe $1 million, $2 million. Like they just think so small is the biggest problem. When I put together my 30X business training, you know, it's 30 minutes a day for 30 days, but it's also about, can you multiply, not, you know, just add percentage to your business. You know, I sat with one of our clients who 5 years ago, he sat with me in Vegas. He and his wife sat with me in Vegas, and we planned how he would get to $1 billion, okay? I do that once a year. I invite 10 companies in that I think can make to $1 billion. And I sat with him, and so this week, one of his divisions, and at the time he had 47 employees, he's just top 500 employees. At the time, when we sat down and looked at the business, they had one main division. Now they have 3 divisions. Just one of those divisions, which was a startup back then, will do 95 million pounds this year. That's the startup division. So they're well on the way to the billion. And the reason I bring that up to you is because only when you think big enough can you achieve big enough. Only when you think massive can you go massive. I got too many business people, and if you're watching Drive Time and you haven't done 30X yet, you haven't read all the books yet, you need to take action now. I need you to think bigger, and the only way I can get you to think bigger is spend more time with you. So if you get on 30X for the next one, get on 90X, do all 3 programs. But this thinking big thing, how do we solve it? Well, first of all, let's establish why people think small. Number one reason they think small is fear, worry. They're sitting there worried about, oh, what if it goes wrong? What if? Listen, the thing is, it could go wrong for 200 grand a year, and it could go wrong for 200 million a year. The thing is, it can go wrong at whatever level. Second reason is they think it takes a lot more work. It's the same amount of work to do 200 million as it is to do 200,000. It really is. The same amount of hours, the same amount of energy, the same amount of effort. A lot more learning, of course, but it's the same amount. You got to hire better people. You got to hire more people. You to think, if we look at the number one methodology of how you can think bigger, it is very simple. Get around other people who think bigger. Okay, don't get around the people who think small. Get around the big thinkers. Get around those who are looking for tens, hundreds, or billions. Don't hang out with people who are looking for hundreds of thousands. Don't hang out with that level. Hang out with the people who get to the big one. Second way to make sure that you get to overcome the small thinking is train your brain every day. Do new learning every single day. And Drive Time can be one way of learning, but you got to get on 30X. You got to read. You got to get a coach, a mentor, something. Join a group. Become a member of Action Coach. If you join Action Coach's membership, you will every single week be around people who are looking to grow, looking to do better. But if you get around the right people and you keep feeding your brain, you will get there. Third thing you got to do is you got to set some ridiculously large goals. You've probably heard of the term BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. If you haven't, look it up, find the books, okay? But But a big, hairy, audacious goal is really about saying, what's the massive thing? If I could achieve something massive, what would it be? And you've heard the statement, if you didn't think you could fail, what would you go for? And that's really what we're looking at here. What can you go for if you didn't think you could fail, okay? If you knew that you would succeed, what would the goal be? What's the massive, massive goal you want to go for? Don't just think about it, write it down. In fact, type it in right now. What's the massive, massive goal you want to go for? That's the thing that everybody's got to get to. Massive goal setting. Don't do the small thing. The interesting thing, when I join businesses, I take a shareholding in the companies. Most of the time, I don't really have to do a lot other than make sure they're thinking much bigger, make sure they're thinking at a massive level. And it's too easy for people to be thinking small in this day and age, okay? Fourth thing we got to do to get rid of the small thinking. Fourth thing we got to do to get rid of the small thinking is stop thinking about the money side of it. Start thinking about the massive side of the business. What's the possibility? Too many business people set their goals based on their own personal needs, based on paying the bills. If your goal is to pay the bills, guess what you achieve? Paying the bills. One of my mentors many years ago said to me, you'll never be bigger than your competition. And at the time, I didn't understand that. At the time, I'm thinking, what do you mean never be bigger as my competition? But if your competition is just to pay the bills, then that's as big as you get. If your competition is to end world hunger, then that's as big as you can get. So you got to get as big as your competition. So set a massive goal, a massive vision so that you have that thing to go for. And that's really what we want to be pushing. Fifth and final thing to get out of small thinking. Fifth and final thing to get out of that small thinking. Now, you got to just let excitement win every now and again. Fear and excitement are two of the big things that we look for. So make sure that fear and excitement wins. Don't just keep letting fear win. Don't let that false expectation appearing real win all the time. Keep going for excitement. Keep going for growth. Keep going for it. The second law of thermonuclear dynamics basically says if you're not growing, you're dying. If a tree isn't growing, it's dying. If your business isn't growing, it's dying. If you personally are not growing, if you're not learning, if you're not understanding new things, then you're dying off. You got to keep growing. That's the way the world works. It's the way everything works in business. So keep yourself growing. Keep yourself learning. Keep your business growing. Keep your wealth growing. Set massive goals, not small goals. The reason I wrote the book Billionaire in Training is because millionaire isn't rich anymore. And if you go for billionaire, if you join my Billionaire in Training Facebook group and you hang out with other people wanting to be billionaires, and let's say you fall short, let's say you go for $1 billion and you mess up, you only get to 80 million or 200 million or something like that, or even 10 million. You're way better off than you would have been if you hadn't set the goal of going for $1 billion. So go for it, have fun with it, keep learning. What's your biggest lesson today? Type it in. What is your biggest lesson today? What is your big, hairy, audacious goal? Type it in right now. Be well, take care, talk to you again soon here on Drive Time.